I think that system where you need to give $1 million to Binance to list you is stupid.
Yeah.
Like I'm against that. And Binance, if you're listening to me, if you want to list a good project is good for the world, good for the planet, creating value in Africa, creating value here in Zanzibar, with real world application, with real world energy creation and internet creation, well, happy to partner.
This is the Mooncast.
See you, Space Cowboy.
You're currently in you're in Zanzibar?
In Zanzibar, yeah. That's that's where we are.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually wanted to immigrate to Zanzibar, but yeah, I didn't know exactly like how to go about it, to be honest with you. So
Okay.
I was just like, yeah.
Now
I
you
kind
will
of gave
know.
up a little bit.
Now you will know.
Yeah. Because what do you do? You registered a company there?
Where are you based?
We're based in Bulgaria.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so for now, but I mean, I want to relocate to Africa so bad, but I'm trying to figure out like where, and it's just a little bit convoluted with the immigration policy. The only ones that's very straight to the point is like Rwanda. They kind of like
Zanzibar is easy, huh? Zanzibar is pretty easy actually.
really.
Yeah. It's very easy, and you can start just as with a tourist visa, and then little by little you figure out your way, and it's really easy. Like no visa problem, visa upon arrival. You just arrive, and that's it, huh? It's really cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I need to look into it then. Because I know Zanzibar is so nice, man.
Yeah,
I'm
Zanzibar
so
is awesome.
jealous.
It's very special, and it's extremely well connected to most of. You 1 hour and a half from Nairobi. You 1 hour, like 20 minutes from Dar es Salaam. Direct flight to
Mm.
South Africa. You can reach many of the places very easily, and it's also connected to Doha, 5 hours, 3 flights to Dubai per day. So it's pretty cool for that.
Yeah, yeah. What's the cost of living there?
I think it's pretty affordable, like especially compared to Europe or Dubai, and it depends on how you want to live. But yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Like it's very okay. It's like you can live in a very affordable way if you're like not if you don't want to import your piece of cheese from France. It's, you know
Yeah.
that's the
No,
thing.
no.
Like, people are like, oh, it's so expensive. Yeah, well, if you import like your ham from Italy, yeah, it is. But if you
Yeah.
just like enjoy the local food, eat some fresh fish, and like you just like local, like that's super okay.
Yeah. That's what I figured, man, as much. So, man, dude, it's just finally nice to talk to you. Sorry that we had to reschedule, man. Like I
Oh,
was
it's
in
awesome.
Greece and then now I'm back. I'm super tired, man. So it's, but yeah, it's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure. But so you can you tell the audience a little bit about your background? Because I know your background. Can you just a little bit break down who you are and why you got into Web3 and how your whole journey started?
Right. Well, thank you for having me on your podcast.
Yeah.
My background is I'm originally from France. Started my career at Apple. Met back then Steve Jobs and the good days when we were still selling iPods. Like it was just like fun time for the industry where like lots of things were happening. And I started in France, moved to Miami, Mexico, then Brazil. I lived
Mm,
for 13 years in Brazil, and then when I was there, I started an education project named Sikana, Sikana, and it was a side project from Apple with a very simple idea that education is what is the most valuable thing for the world, like people sharing skills and knowledge, and that we could actually create a new form of society where education could be some form of currency. And when I'm talking about
mm,
2012, 2013, there was not even videos on Instagram, like
yeah.
just to put things in context. And the idea was very simple. It's like, okay, let's start to find experts and people who have skills to share around the world and like produce the videos with them so they can actually share their life skills education, their skill set to a wider audience. And we ended up building 2,300 videos in 10 languages about
Mm,
like small scale sustainable agriculture, how to raise kids, how to take care of someone with needs, how to save someone's life in case of something happens, so like first aid with the
So
Red
like
Cross.
YouTube, basically.
Well, it was kind of a YouTube, but it was a curated version of YouTube with a feeling of Wikipedia. So it's like, okay, let's organize that library in a very nice way, like the Netflix of education, but focusing on life skills. Because when you live in Burkina Faso, you don't need to know when Napoleon was born. What you need to
Yeah.
know actually is how to connect with the earth and like steward the land and just like raise your family. So like good things.
Okay.
And so really my journey started with that. The project became very successful. We eat like multiple billions of courses delivered around the world and 100 NGOs engaged on that project, Sikana, www.sikana.tv. And the story became crazy after because like we were so successful that we ended up with lots of bandwidth. So like lots of people watching those videos, and we ended up actually in bankrupt, in the situation of bankruptcy because of the cost of hosting. And for me, this moment
Mm,
was just like, wait a minute, like you're doing something good for the world, you're providing value to an entire ecosystem, and because you ended up like centralizing under you all this weight on your shoulders of the hosting part, the infrastructure part on your shoulder, because we didn't want to have this on YouTube, because we didn't want to transform people into product and to have advertising and to have people data being mined and all that.
hmm.
So basically, like at that moment, I really went through a very tough time. I was like, wait a minute, like what just happened? Like we provided a very good thing for the world, and now we're in this situation. So I went through all the people I had met in different tech conference and other places, and I met with different projects of people who are trying to think about how to redefine the physical infrastructure of the internet. So rethinking the internet upside down, like really putting back the internet in the hands of the people. A very simple idea. What if all the teachers and learners who are part of Sikana would have been hosting the content themselves, would have been part of the service providing for their own community? And it was way before Web3 was popular. Um, that's the moment that I met with Christophe, who was an amazing architect and visionary. He's the main founder of Threefold, and who had like built all the different tech stack of the internet over the years. So more than 6 companies with a very important exit, always in the storage, compute, networks, the plumbing part. Most of the Web3 is still at protocol level. What we're doing is at plumbing level. We're doing the foundation, like it's really the missing layer from between everything. And when I met with him, it was really love at the first time. It was like, okay, like we need to work together. We need to partner. I became co-founder of the project, and I brought all the different elements that were built with Sikana also onto that ecosystem. And then the rest, like then it was really interesting because like we were doing deep like decentralized physical infrastructure
Yeah.
network before deep was even existed, like before even it was famous.
Yeah.
Like we had,
Before the narrative.
yeah, before the narrative. So we had like compute, storage, network, totally decentralized cloud system for people to be able to use. And but it was way too early. Like what's crazy when you look backward, you're like, wow, like we were in the right space, but we were way too early in that game. And like
Yeah.
people had a very hard time to understand. They were still trying to figure out what was happening on the protocol side.
Hmm.
And what is very special in what we built, and I think it's hard to in the end, it's very simple, but it's all because of the construct that we created. It's like we created a cloud that can belong to everyone, where everyone can co-own that cloud, where it's the combination of an overlay network, smart contract for IT, and and all this happening within an ecosystem where then everyone can run its own applications and its own dApps. Anything that runs on Linux can run on the Threefold grid. So
Yeah.
like it's what's very interesting with our project, like whoever we meet, well, whoever we are discussing with, we always have the possibility to work together because maybe they have their own protocol, but any of the protocol can run onto the Threefold grid. So right now we're building partnership with many of the projects out there. Helium can run on the Threefold grid.
Yeah.
Holochain can run on the Threefold grid. Render can run on the Threefold grid. So like any of those projects are not really competitor in the end. They all can actually use our underlying infrastructure for that. And what was interesting into that entire journey is that, as I said, people had a hard time to understand. We were already in 62 countries just with the open source movement, people putting hardware. It's fun. Sometimes I wake up in the morning, I go into the Explorer, and I see like, oh, there's a country out there. Like, what's the name of that country? I don't even know what it is. Like, and you click, and you're like, oh, we have 4 nodes now in that place. We have 80 nodes in Ukraine. Never been to Ukraine. Like, just like that kind of things happen every day, and it's very exciting. But at the same time, we felt that we needed to connect to the purpose, and we needed a home. And we started to meet with different African presidents, and we explaining that very simple story. That was, hey, you don't have the internet. And when we met with Mama Samia here in Tanzania, was like very fun stories. Like, you don't have the internet. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we have WhatsApp, Facebook. No. What you have is a very small cable going below the ocean until northern countries where they host everything. And if tomorrow the cable is cut, you have nothing. You don't have a messaging system for your citizen. You don't have a banking system for your citizen. You have nothing. So it became very clear for those places that they needed to have their own internet, that they needed to have their own sovereign system. And that's what happened. And we that the rest is now history. Like, we ended up like with them building this partnership, creating these agreements to deploy the backbone for the country. Ended up in Zanzibar with the president also, that gave us a free zone here in Zanzibar. So anyone not only will be able to have a digital twin, but also will be able to have a legal twin in Zanzibar to be able to operate into a sandbox.
Wow.
So that's where we are today. The project Threefold is the tech part of the project, but the bigger vision, we call it our world.
I see. So in regards to the Wi-Fi element of it, because I assumed, I thought it was more so leaning towards cloud storage and data storage, but you're basically saying that you guys are expanding out into more decentralized Wi-Fi infrastructure too as well.
We have everything. So like basically you can do Wi-Fi, you can do, like, the way we build the construct is that you can do cloud, compute, Wi-Fi, and GPUs. So like it's extremely versatile. Like, you can do all of it with the same OS.
Yeah.
So it's very like you can really deploy everything through Zero OS, and with that you can, any of those services you'll be able to provide.
How can people join the network? Is it through giving some of your computational power as a client, hosting as a client?
Today, what you can do is that you can first join the community. We have Telegram groups, we have other groups where we gather, and we gather also in person here in Zanzibar. We're gonna have a big event in May, June, with people from Zuzalu, from the Ethereum community, will be joining. Will be like 200 people events from 15th of May to 15th of June. So you're invited if you can make it. It will be great. And that will be a very important milestone for the community. And how anyone can participate is just by getting online, getting some hardware, building its own hardware, like seeing with one of our certified reseller also to provide and to get that hardware, and just build and like really connect to that network, start providing. And now with the new stack that we're building, there will be all the different paths to utilization. So now the nodes who building their own proper reputation, they will be able to provide services across the network. So it's very important actually that like we're going. That's really much what we did with Threefold. Like, we're not one of those crypto projects that does the hype first and then start building. Like, it's 25 years of building, and now we'll start to say like, okay, we're in Africa. Most of the infrastructure is still to build. We have those partnerships in place. The technology is production ready. Now we can start talking about the project. It's one of the first podcasts to do. Like, we're not talking to the world yet, almost not talking to the world yet, because just like we're not that kind of people. Like, we just don't do hype to create buzz, to create hype so people buy tokens, then it goes up and then it crashes. Like, this is a casino, and I respect the decentralization part of it. I love it actually. Our token went time 10 the last couple of days. That's great. Like, good. Like, I believed in the project before it was that price, and I believe after it was that price, and was still super undervalued compared to any of the project out there. Like, it's like, yeah, we're like in the 50 million valuation. while the project is doing more things than Helium, Render, and combined. So it's like it's a very
One
unique
thing
system that we have.
I noticed about the crypto space is that the price doesn't correlate to the actual underlying value of the asset, and
I
so
know.
those are two separate things. And it's 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 hard for a lot of people to understand, but I actually separate the two sort of KPIs where there's actual blockchain companies that are building actual real world use cases, and then there's just people that are capitalizing then on the hype, and then people are speculating on that hype whether the price would go up or go down. So it's a very
Right.
interesting industry, and also I think that the industry should be allowed to flourish how it is and let the free market decide what and speculate on what they want to speculate on. I don't think that there
Exactly.
should be any friction, because I know that people are saying, oh, like, some people are losing money, some people are making money, but this is I consider crypto the purest form of financial capitalism.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
think the only part that is a bit annoying is the manipulative piece with media, and yeah, it's a bit biased. But in the end, for me, it doesn't matter because what we're building is a system that is actually going back to real world asset tokenization. The goal here is really to build something where we are able to have internet capacity purchase agreement from companies, from government, that we can turn into NFTs or into different forms of contracts that then is going to provide demand for the token. So it's not something that is based on like out of thin air, people believe and they don't believe. Now they bet on it, now they all like sell it. Like it's not about that. It's about, okay, we're building that for the long run. There will be a total number of TFT that is 1 billion. That won't change. As the more there will be demand and volumes and contract on top of it, the more that token will be valuable
Yeah.
because it will be reserve currency. So that's the way we look at it, and we want to build as many as possible use case that we can, and go into a mutual credit system.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's good that you're not trying to drive demand synthetically, like some of these projects just kind of do it through the hype. And are you aware of the competitors that are in this space that are also doing similar things? I know there's a couple like WMT and so on that I don't know if you've heard of them, like a World Mobile Token. I think they're pretty interesting too
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
And
so World Mobile, they're in Zanzibar. I need to meet them actually. If you have their contact, hey, World Mobile, if you see me.
yeah,
But I think it will be very nice because I think we have a lot to exchange. They're very interesting in terms of the way they've been structuring their offer, and I think we can be complementary because World Mobile is typically a use case that could be running also on the grid, and we are both in Zanzibar. Like they've been doing some things in the past in Zanzibar, so, and in other African countries. So I think that would be those are the type of people where we can really partner because we can become like that underlying infrastructure.
yeah.
As I said, we are also doing some protocols, but we are always one level down. So like for people, it's easy. It's like, okay, well, we can deploy that into their structure.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to get them on my podcast too, as well, to talk about more about their project too, because their project is interesting. They're using sort of these air nodes, and it's a little bit
Yeah.
more nuanced with how they're basically using the cars, then put the air nodes, and then fly them up in the air with these hot air balloons, and blips, I think is what's called in English. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, and yeah, I think it's also interesting. But yeah, I do think that this is a huge issue and it has to be solved. And I think Web3 is the only way to really, the most efficient way currently right now to solve it. So, and you guys have been operating since when exactly? When did you start the project?
Well, the project is the result of 25 years of tech. So it's like it's long, like it's just a
Yeah.
construct, like all the different companies that were built were all open source, and all the tech stack that was built is still part of the bigger thing. So
Yeah.
if you take everything together, it's a very long time. Threefold since 2017.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 2016, 17. So yeah, we're here for the long run.
Hey, bro, I'm just trolling is something that will not just challenge your perspective, but also touch your heart and soul. It's a book that defies convention, blending art and literature into a thought-provoking masterpiece.
a reflective piece of provocative art that tackles societal constructs from angles you've never considered. Hey Bro, I'm Just Trolling delves into the very essence of our existence. It questions the technology that surrounds us, challenges our notions of beauty, stares unflinchingly into the eyes of death, and questions the boundaries of freedom. It scrutinized the educational system that molds our very future. This book is a journey, an exploration of shared human experience, and it's a work of art that refuses to be confined by tradition. It's a canvas painted with words, a melody of thought, and a testament to the power of creativity in a world dominated by algorithms and data. Visit moonboycapitalventures.com and get your hands on Hey Bro, I'm Just Trolling today. It's not just a book, it's a movement. Now let's jump back into the show.
Yeah, and if when you want to become a node operator, talk to me a little bit more about that. So is it as simple as, okay, like I said, getting the client, and then do I then need to buy tokens and have a certain token allocation and stake it on the protocol? Is it running as its own singular blockchain, or is it running on top of another blockchain?
It's running right now. We're using Stellar. We're exploring also other possible layer one that are really specialized in DePIN and have been building a very solid ecosystem for DePIN. So we're exploring some forms of other layer one that have been very receptive with what we're doing.
Which ones?
We've been in touch with Solana, we've been in touch with Ethereum, we've been in touch with all the different possible partner. But yeah, Solana is obviously a very good candidate for that. And we're really exploring that deep in space. So like it's really about now bringing more people onto the Threefold grid, bringing that live, going into commercialization. We have more and more partners now coming. We are creating utilization, and that's it. Like it's we want to see those nodes with utilization. So today, if you want to join, you just need to buy the software, run it, and like you get rewards. We are going still to the same format of monthly rewards until the last. Until we get to 1 billion token, and then we are basing our reward through utilization. So utilization will provide the reward for the participant, and they don't need to stake token to be running that.
Is there a guide for that?
Yeah. You can go to threefold.io and you can see the manual there on threefold.io.
Okay, all right, and so. I want to know, because when you talk about the community, right? So how is the community right now? Like, how big is the community, and how long did it take for you to be able to grow it to where it is currently today?
What do you mean?
The community for Threefold. So I'm assuming that you've built out a community. How big is the community, and also how many users are using it, and how long did it take you to build that out?
No, today we're talking about 3,000 farms around the world. We're talking about 60,000 CPUs. We're talking about 20 petabytes. So it's a pretty large community, very diverse, very like worldwide. But I think that what is exceptional with what we built is that we ended up doing it really always out of a certain purpose, and that this purpose is coming. It was always to serve the underserved. It was to serve places like here, Tanzania, Africa, Latin America, where I lived the last 13 years, Brazil, like all these places, they are just the right place to deploy that kind of infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Because then once you've got that, you can just create all forms of alternatives, way of ownership, of sharing, of barter, of it's just the step one for a full-blown new ecosystem based on humans. It's very different.
So how many countries are currently using the service?
62.
So 62 countries in total. And you said how many users?
Today, in terms of farms, we've got 3,000 farms.
Okay.
Farmers.
And what's the pricing model that you guys are utilizing currently right now?
What we've been doing is just we connect with the price of what is the value of the current cloud market, and we bring it under discount. So that's what we did. And out of like, I know it's your podcast, but just like to understand a bit more with Moonboy, like you're doing ventures and you're also like
Yeah.
VC.
So yeah. So I'm a VC partner, And so what I do is I then analyze projects, I do pitch deck analysis and etc. And when I see really, really good projects, then I recommend it then to my VCs. And then we try to help to get the projects funding. So currently right now I'm in 3 separate VCs, and I'm also a partner with Stanford AI and Web3 Research Labs.
Oh,
And
great.
yeah, so this is basically what I do on that, and also as well as I do portfolio structuring and restructuring at the B2C level. So helping clients who want to invest in crypto assets, digital assets, but don't know how. They don't know how to stake, how to set up a miner, how to set up a node, how to
That's
yield
great.
farm. Yeah, and so this is the two-edged double sword that basically what we do. And yeah, so
Well,
for
I
me, it's
think it will be the perfect timing actually for the project for us to connect and to look at what we've been doing.
Yeah, exactly. This is why, like, I wanted to bring you on, just to kind of get a deep rooted understanding of kind of what you guys are doing, where you guys are at, what your vision is, where you guys are going, and how you guys plan to generate revenue, which was going to be my next question is in terms of revenue generating, because you guys are kind of operating more on the business side as opposed to the Web3 side. Because Web3, for me, Web3 is more you create a whole bunch of hype and energy and marketing, and then you bring value then to your idea, and then you kind of decide on the community, the direction, and you worry about generating revenue like 5 years later, 6 years, 7 years later.
Or never most of the time.
Say again.
Or never.
Yeah, or never. Yeah.
Or never.
Yeah, exactly. Or never. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, well, yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I guess like more traditional Web3 projects, but yours is more like, I think, more on the blockchain side, where you're actually really leveraging the blockchain for an entire business model, and
Yeah.
then to take advantage of a huge underserved area in the market. Like, do you know what the total addressable market is for this particular um, vertical?
It's 800 million people.
Yeah.
It's
So
just that it's just gigantic. Like the thing is that we cannot build what we want to build without the support of the states, of the legislator. You need to have the regulator with you. Like otherwise, it will always it will always be confidential. Like
yeah,
you cannot build an entire new system based on something that you do based on anonymity, without KYC, without AML, without like just like building something that is really for the people. So that's really where we position ourselves. Like we're like, okay, we're working directly at president level with multiple countries, like deploying a vision on how we can bring something that can bring them more sovereignty, education, information, and like a full-blown digital system that belong to them, not to
yeah,
someone else.
yeah. It's interesting because there's two different sides of the coin, I think, in the Web3 space, because there's some that are more about the decentralization ethos and anonymity ethos and all these different sorts of philosophical type of approaches to building, where there's some people that have built some great stuff, but we don't even know who they are really, and so I don't know where you kind of fall. Do you think that all Web3 projects should go towards doxing themselves, doxing the team, or should it just be, hey, I built some really superb code and people can try it out if they want to? Or are you kind of like in between in terms of,
I
okay,
think we're
some
really
people,
in between. Like there
yeah,
are some people like all we produce is open source, and it's based on our values are people and planet first, and it's about simplicity and authenticity. So like everything we build is like that. If someone arrives in Ecuador and like decide that he wants to use the code and run its own, like perfect, so everything is ready for that.
yeah,
Though we are directing it because we need to have like a clear way of implementing this in the real world. We
yeah,
cannot just base that on wishful thinking or just address that internally into a Web3 audience. We want to make sure that this is actually serving the underserved. You need to get your hands dirty and to go and to actually bring that road to market to exist. So it's like
yeah,
it's for me, it's really like it's you need to work on the two sides. You keep the spirit on being open source, community owned, everything is being like open, etc. But on the other side, you create the commercial conditions so people can understand how I can serve the underserved. I can
yeah,
bring more people online, but not people online just to have their information being stolen by Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. Like that's the thing. Like
yeah.
You provide a new internet for people in the country, and then the first experience they have is to go into Facebook and to have like advertising for Doritos. It's a bit of a pity.
Yeah, when you look at that sort of Web 2 model where, because as you know the layers of the Web 2, Web 1 and Web 3, and as it transitioned from Web 1 to Web 2, and it got to where, okay, now information is decentralized, but there's only basically one company that's kind of controlling who gets to share the information and kind of owning, sort of, to an extent, the IP rights and etc. Do you
Right.
see that business model surviving in the next 5 to 10 to 15 years, or what are your thought process on that?
Well, I think the centralized model are pretty resistant, to be honest. So, like, to be here, like, I don't see. I thought at some point it will be some kind of just like a transition like this. The truth is that decentralization is a spectrum, and you need to also accept it. That you don't need to be there as a purist, and like it's a process. So I think it's gonna go fast. I think it's gonna end up being faster here than in Europe, for instance, because you don't have the same lobby and you don't have the same. Like here, it's way more open-minded to that because people are leapfrogging into the next era
Yeah.
of Web3, Web4, like all of things. So
Yeah.
I see it's going to be slow, but it's going to be very steady, like very, like, yeah, strong.
In regards to funding, have you guys gotten funded in the past? Are you guys looking for
Not
funding?
funding, only from through friends and family. No VC so far. Like only friends and family and people who are like we only want to have in through our network an investor. People who can become true ambassador, who are aligned with our values and understand that we can do good and do well at the same time. And like it's possible and it's not incompatible. And um, but we want people who are here for the long run, not those VCs who arrive with all those kind of like strange terms of condition and like we don't
Yeah.
like that. Like people like it's very straightforward. That's the way it is. That's how we are putting it together. We protect your downside. You have the potential of the upside. You believe in the project as we do. If you don't, come and visit us. If you still don't, please don't invest. Like it's just like
Yeah.
we're good with that model of like just having people really understand what we're doing and the why we're doing it.
Yeah, it makes absolute sense, because that's another issue that I see sometimes with projects, is that they just take whatever money they can get, and sometimes that money is not intellectual. And if the money isn't intellectual, then they don't then have the capacity to help you in terms of resources in any other way outside of they just give you money and expect you to 10x their bags in like 2 years or 3 years. And some of the VCs can be quite harsh when it comes to that. So I think you need to be very selective in that process if you do want to raise funds to scale like exponentially within the next 3 to 5 years. But this is the right time to do it, so you kind of have the right product market fit and the timing, so which is interesting. And also, what about is there going to be a government element to you guys?
Huge. Like we are government. Like here in Zanzibar, we have a shareholder agreement with the government. This is still like, yeah, I don't know what the podcast is gonna go, but it's like it's insane. Like we are the regulator here in Zanzibar. We have a shareholder agreement with Zictia, that is the government agency. So we are government with Zictia, and we can sign public-private agreement. We have the full support of the government. We can. We have custodial banking license, internet license, telecom license. Like we can, like it's like building something that can be a safe haven for all refugees in the world who needs to have a legal twin to be able to invoice, to operate. So we are running everything of that on top of the Threefold grid. So the potential is incredible. Like that combination of a sovereign free zone with a sovereign cloud is just crazy, because it's like as above, so below. Like you can be in that system safe and in that system safe. And then you have the both safety, very strong KYC and ML, but then you have lots of people who can deal with digital assets, build new projects from there, tokenize assets, all kind of things.
Yeah, can you list me of the main forms of utility for the token and buying the actual token itself?
Right. Well, it's simple. It's a utility token that is like providing internet capacity. So like it will enable people to deploy virtual machines or whatever they need on top of the Threefold grid. And it's the token that is the currency of that internet. So that's real utility. It's like water. It's like electricity. So that's what we created. And now phase 2 is like really going to the world, building more use case on top of the grid, bringing the twin and like that legal twin on top of it that we will actually probably will start selling in NFTs of those legal twins. So it's all that is will be done with the token. And it's a very, very low price right now. Like it's still at 0.505. Like it's once again, like our project, I won't rest until that project is valued on between 50 and 100 B. Like it's just like that's the value of what we do. Like it's not, we're talking about a $3 trillion market. Like it's just like, and we are the most advanced tech out there for providing a comprehensive solution to replace the current cloud. So that's it. Like, so yeah, with the current system that we're putting together, the potential of the upside is insane, and there is a real protection still of the downside. And people, and we're not on the centralized exchange. We're not on Binance. We're not on Coinbase. We're not on any of those guys. So like voluntarily, because I won't pay them a cent until they're like, okay, we are too big. Now we want you to be on our platform, and then we will think about it. I think that system where you need to give $1 million to Binance to list you is stupid. Like I'm against that. And Binance, if you're listening to me, if you want to list a good project, is good for the world, good for the planet, creating value in Africa, creating value here in Zanzibar, with real world application, with real world energy creation and internet creation, well, happy to partner, but not happy to pay something as a tax to be able to be on that platform. Because that's a service that you should be able to provide to any of the people who are believing in Binance. That's a very natural thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Binance, they're a little bit cocky, to say the least. Yeah, for sure.
They should try also to use that cockiness for good, not only for the reward. It's having power comes with responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Spider-Man, no?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was like, wait, am I speaking to Peter right now? No.
Yeah.
No, but okay. I have a couple more questions. So the community governance. So is there an aspect to that where community can actually vote on the direction of the project?
With the system online, with the Threefold chain, people can vote and participate. Yeah.
Okay. How do people buy the token?
You can buy the token. So the easiest way is to buy it on Stellar. So you have a Stellar wallet like Freighter or Lobster. I use Lobster, LOBSTR. And Lobster, you keep your little words, and then you send to your Lobster Stellar address. You send the XLM, and then you convert XLM to TFT, and then you can sell TFT for USDC or keep the USDC and buy more TFT. Like you can really play with that on the Stellar wallet Lobster. So for me, it's the simplest way. Then for the most crypto people, like you can go on PancakeSwap and use the Binance Smart Chain. And on Binance Smart Chain, you can use your BNB and convert the BNB into Threefold token. So that's one of the two options. That's it.
Okay, so you guys are also on the Binance Smart Chain, and you're also then on Stellar. So it's you guys are expanding cross chain. You're going to be going more chains.
We have also a bridge with Ethereum, but there are very high gas fees always. But we are happy with like that. That's working so far. Like as it grows, more people will actually list us even without like Bitcoin never asked anyone to be listed. It is. It's like at some point, as the value grow, naturally it will be listed in more places. But us, we don't want to proactively list it in more places because that's like there is demand. So like if someone bring it into his exchange, it will bring more demand for that exchange because of what we're doing. So because people are looking for a way to do it. And if there was a simple way like to do it like on Coinbase or Binance, people will be like, oh, I'm going there,
Yeah. And also with the marketing strategy, what's your marketing strategy currently right now?
So far, we've been really like the marketing strategy was build, finalize the contract with the governments, and then announce because it's not been announced yet. So it's like really building up that because once we have that, that's just like nobody has that in the world. It's literally what the network state's vision of Balaji has made into practice in the real world. Like a community of people able to become cloud first, sovereign cloud first, land last, but not land never. Like we are here in the land. So that's really the vision.
Man, Florian, this has been really, really great, man. We got
Yeah,
to do this again. Maybe I might come to, because
come.
actually, all jokes aside, you said it's the 15th of June, right?
15th of May to 21st of June. So it's right before summer in Europe.
Okay.
So look at your agenda. Even if you can just come 1 week, just tell me your dates or when it's good. But or come before. Like tell me when it's good for you.
Yeah, because like I told you, I'm looking to explore. I'm trying to figure out which African country I want
Yeah,
to go to.
that's it. It's super easy. Super
Yeah.
easy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. We'll then keep in touch then on
yeah.
LinkedIn for sure. And
I'll send you my also my Telegram handle and my phone here, so you can just text me and I
yeah,
will be in
do
touch.
do it on do it on LinkedIn. Do it on LinkedIn so I can
Okay.
have it there. And yeah, it would be better. And also, where can people find you and also your project on the internet?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Florian Fournier, or you can find me as well at Florian Fournier on Telegram, and you can find the project directly online at threefold.io, and then just join there, and then join our Telegram group and be part of the community.
Awesome, man. I think it's going to be one of the biggest narratives this year, actually, is Deepin. So I appreciate you coming on, man. We'll definitely do this again. And yeah, we'll be in touch then on TG, man. So thank you for stopping by, man. This concludes this
Thank you.
episode of the Mooncast. And
That was
peace.
awesome.
Take care, man.